Welcome to Will's Box Song Pod, a show where we dig deep into the songs and artists that move us and how we're moved to craft the songs we write. I'm Tim Wilsbach, and I write, release, and perform music as Wilsbach, and you can find me anywhere you stream music. Let's dig in. My guest today releases music and performs as Joon Gloom. She's a talented singer-songwriter born and raised in a small town just outside of Los Angeles. Known for her raw, honest, and emotionally charged songwriting style, she created the alias Joon Gloom to embody her unique musical persona. Since her debut as Joon Gloom in 2017, she has released 5 singles, captivating audiences with her heartfelt lyrics and evocative melodies. In 2023, she unveiled her latest work, the Wildfire EP, further solidifying her presence in the music scene. Beyond her recorded works, Joon Gloom is an active performer. She hosts a popular weekly open stage in Thousand Oaks, providing a platform for local talent to shine. Additionally, she's a regular participant in Nabu Wines Sunday Night Live monthly tribute series, where she continues to connect with audiences through her compelling performances of some classic songs. She was also gracious enough to share her time and talent on my latest release. She sang some beautiful background vocals on Until the Sun Comes Up. Please welcome to Will's Box Song Pod, Jacqui Gaball, also known as Joon Gloom.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We've
nice.
been playing back and forth on scheduling, trying to get you on here, so I'm glad to finally nail you down.
Yes, happy to be here.
Yeah. Where does this podcast find you today?
I'm actually in my bedroom at home.
All right, nice. And you live in Thousand Oaks, is that right?
I'm close by. I'm in Oak Park. So
Oak Park, gotcha.
Really
okay.
Small. A lot of people don't know where that is, but close to Thousand Oaks.
So I don't know if you've listened to any of these so far, but basically what we're trying to do here on this pod, that we're asking the question, how do you write a song?
Yeah. Do you want me to just start?
So that's a question for you. You can either answer that in a big grand way or a very specific way, or you can say too hard, next question, whatever. But that's the first question I like to throw people off with is, how do you write a song?
Yeah, I think it's a good question because everyone has a different process. For me, I'm one of those writers that doesn't write super often. I kind of wait for inspiration to come to me. I'm not like trying to force a song. So some years I'll write more music than other years. But pretty much it's like usually some type of lyric or melody or both at the same time will come to me. And then from there, I'm like, oh my God. And then I just start like jotting down, like, I don't know why, but it just like starts flowing. And then I'll usually write a song like within the same hour, like just the full song just like kind of pours out of me. That's usually how it's been. I've had like a couple song ideas like come to me when I was sleeping, kind of. That was really cool. And in those situations, I didn't always do this, but sometimes I would force myself to get up and kind of like hum on my voice memo app, and then in the morning I would like kind of go back to it. But you have to be disciplined to do that, because if you're like half asleep, you're like, you don't want to get up and do it, but sometimes you do. And I've definitely woken up and listened and been like, what the heck is that? Because I'm like in my sleep voice and I have no idea what I was trying to do. But yeah, most of the time I would say I just I'm feeling inspired. Usually it's, I'm going through a breakup, or I'm heartbroken over someone. That's usually what causes the inspiration. And then I just really need to pour it out. It's like my therapy.
Yeah, gotcha. So you're you almost like an antenna, just out in the world, kind of listening for whatever signals catch your particular psyche and make you vibrate a little bit enough to get you to sing that melody for the first time or jot down a lyric.
Yeah, I would say so. A lot of times it's in those moments where you have like a clearer mind, in the shower is a lot of times, like I'll be like in the shower and be like, oh my God, like I'm getting so many ideas right now. And then I have to like jump out and do my voice memo or whatever. And then sometimes I have like writer's blocks. Like more recently, I haven't really been writing that much, which is just kind of sad. Like I just haven't been feeling it as much. And I recently wrote a song, but then you go through that, like, is this even a good song phase where,
Right.
I tested it out at my open mic and I was kind of like, I don't know about this. Like, and then you go through the whole like part where you're like, do the people like it? Do they not like it? It's the feedback that you get from other people is important. So,
Yeah, there's the creative, creative expression is part of it, but as a performing songwriter, you also want it to connect on a certain level. So yeah, having that platform to take a song that is just in the infancy or you're not sure about, and send it out into the world and have it bounce back at you and in the crowd's reaction. That's it can be an important part of the process for sure. I know I've done that several times. Like, well, one of the releases on my latest record, Tiger, it was like, this is the best song I've ever written. And then I played it the first time out and I was like, oh, but that just completely fell flat. Like nobody responded to that. I don't really know why. So yeah, sometimes it's just how it works with those songs.
yeah, I have some songs that I've been really like more self-conscious about because maybe they're more like repetitive. I only have like two chords or something in the song. But
Yeah,
then I've had like a couple friends be like, please play that song. It's like my favorite song of yours. And that's what
right.
keeps me playing it. Because I'm like, okay, as long as there's some people out there that enjoy it, I'm going to keep playing it.
You basically play with the same three guys when you're playing out. Yeah.
So I have my like OG band that like I would like record with and stuff, but
Yeah.
they're all kind of like they have a bunch of other projects and they're like pretty professional. Like one of them goes on tours and stuff a lot. And most of their other stuff is paid. So this is
Yeah.
kind of like their passion project with me.
That core group that you're mentioning, they played on your Wildfire track, right? It's Daniel and
Yeah, so
that crew, or who's
Daniel,
on that?
yeah, Daniel Bermudez and Michael Cole. He's my lead guitarist.
Yeah.
And then I also have a bass player named Kevin Kim. I don't think he played on that track though,
Gotcha.
but
Okay.
I think I actually hired a bassist for that one.
Your Wildfire track, I know I've told you this several times, but I really just love everything about that. It's so hooky. Can't really tell. This is interesting. So, what part do you call the chorus in that song?
The sometimes you gotta let go.
Okay, gotcha. So then, what would you call the time changes? Because that's
Oh,
super hooky too, and that you almost hear. I don't know if you don't hear it twice before the chorus, do you?
yeah, I think yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
It's a
So
it's a
what are you calling that?
pre-chorus.
Pre-chorus. Okay. But yeah,
Yeah,
you've got. I mean, hooks all over the place. The guitar is hooky. The bass line's doing some cool stuff. Um,
thank
Daniel
you.
is amazing on the drums, so much that I stole him for many of the songs on my latest record.
I'm
Um,
so glad.
yeah, so thanks for that.
Of
Because yeah, he's
course.
incredible. But
He
talk about
is.
that song. Like, where did that? What's the inspiration for that song? How did you write that one?
Yeah, so funny enough, I don't remember writing that song, which is
Oh,
funny. But it
that's
was it was
interesting.
it was so long ago. Like I wrote
Yeah.
this song, I think I wrote it when I was probably 20 and I'm almost 29. So this is like almost 10 years ago that I wrote that
Wow.
song.
Okay.
But I totally know what it was about, like what I wrote it about. So I was in this relationship that like started out like in my eyes at least like really amazing, and then over time the guy just sort of changed and he sort of became like a monster. And I could
Okay.
have written something like way worse than this, but this was just kind of like time does change everything. Like you never know how people are going to change, and what relationships are going to fall to the wayside. Like you really don't know. And so that's kind of what it was about. What I was singing about, like, you were the one I always wanted. And You Were the One That Set Me Free. Like, it's weird because I did initially write this as a duet,
Oh,
and and I was supposed to record it with someone, a vocalist that I really, really loved, and he actually has a pretty big following. But then he was gonna have to like record it like out of state, and I think his life just got really hectic. And me and the band were kind of sort of waiting to like finish the song, and we had everything else done other than his vocal. So we kind of all just decided, like, okay, let's just make this not a duet. Like, it sounds good with just your voice. That's what they were
yeah.
telling me. So I was like,
What
okay.
part? What would have been the male part? What was he singing?
So sometimes I do like have friends like sing the duet with me.
Uh huh.
So I do have that. So it's kind of like a call and response type thing. So like, you were the one I always wanted. And then the guy's sort of being like, well, you were the one that set me free,
Gotcha. So
kind of
you're
thing.
trading lines back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they're kind of like, you were the one I disappointed. And then I'm like, well, you were the one I never wanted to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that song is kind of about like, I wanted to be with you, like,
Yeah.
but you
That's so
disappointed
interesting.
me.
That gives it a whole new flavor. Like I kind of love that.
Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that it would be cool to re-record it as what
Yeah,
it
for
was
sure.
originally supposed to be. That's still like, I love that we're talking about it because I almost forgot like that that's what it was meant to be. Like, that's the way I was writing it.
Yeah.
Um, I think it also makes a bit more sense listening to the lyrics when you think of it that way.
Uh-huh.
Like, it works with one voice, but that's not the way that it was meant to be, for sure.
And yeah, and you've got it just when you've got that good chorus, you've got the great pre-chorus, super hooky, and then when you get to like I guess we're calling it the third verse, you're kind of changing up the melody a little bit, and just you're kind of keeping it fresh and interesting. It's a really well done song. The production is amazing. Your band is killer. Like I
They are.
mentioned, how much of that did you bring that to the studio kind of fully formed, or did you find that in the studio with the players? Like, how'd the production of that song work out?
Yeah, so Wildfire was definitely one of those songs that flowed out of me very easily.
Hmm.
That's kind of like my golden child,
Yeah. Oh,
that
sure.
song. So like a lot of times I would take my songs, like me and my acoustic guitar, to Michael, my guitarist, and he would sort of be like, give me advice on like how we should take it to the next level. With
Yeah.
Wildfire, it was cool because he was just like, wow, this is already great. Like, let's just add music to it now.
I think we all have those as songwriters, have those songs that are just like, I don't know where it came from. It just kind of fell in my
Yeah.
lap, and I've done all the work
Yes.
up to this point on how to write a song and how to shape it and work the craft of it, and this one just kind of is kind of just working in the background, and then your brain finally went, boom, hey, here it is. Until the sun comes
Yeah.
up was like that for me. Like, I don't know,
Oh,
I have no idea where that song came from. It's not about anybody I know. It's it's a story song, and it just was just there. It was just there
yeah.
one day. I'm like, all right. And that's like, one of my favorites of that I've written in the past handful of years. I think a lot of that has to do with the work that you've put in up to that point, right? It's not like it literally just,
Yeah.
there's no non-songwriter in the world that they're like, hey, I wrote this song and here it is. Like, it's,
Yeah.
you have to have done the work up to that point before you get that gift. You've got the hooky music and melody, and then you've tied it to a lyric that's a universal thing that everyone can understand and relate to really well. So it's just, when all that comes together to work, it's pretty cool.
I'm definitely proud of it.
What inspired you to write your first song? Like, what made you pick up the guitar and go, I have something I want to say, and here it is.
I guess I kind of started out more doing like poetry because I didn't play an instrument yet. So you could see them more as poetry. And then as I got older, I started writing poems back and forth to my grandma. She lived in Oregon. And she was a writer too. So we would both write poetry back and forth. And then eventually, when I was 15, I finally started learning guitar. Um, and then, so of course, I was just like, finally, I have something to like put all that I have to say out. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, right.
and then honestly, since I was in high school, I mostly wrote about like relationship stuff or like someone I had a crush on or like, so I would say I mostly write about love. That's just like the easiest form to me.
Sure.
So I think
Yeah,
one of my
nice.
first songs I actually wrote about was actually like a happier kind of like just saying like I really liked someone rather than
Yeah.
being like you broke my heart.
Yeah. The happy songs are harder to write, I've
They
found.
are harder. They
Yeah.
are harder because when you're sad, you just like pour stuff out of you. It's
Yeah.
like flowing out. When you're happy, it's kind of like I feel like you think about it more. Like, what are the exact words that I should say?
I feel like I'm being too corny sometimes when I'm doing the upbeat, shiny, happy songs, or like almost like, well, I don't want to point to it because then it'll go away. It's like I can't look at a thing because then it'll vanish, kind of thing.
Yeah, and you make a good point about like not being too corny. That I think that's a really hard part about like a happy song
Yeah.
is not making it like the same corny song that everyone writes.
I mean, that's a trick for pretty much anything, right? It's falling into those, cliche patterns and, it's saying the same old thing that 700 other people have said probably just this morning on Spotify, right? But they
Yes,
say that's always a struggle is finding a new way to say the thing that's been said thousands of other times.
exactly.
When you
Yeah.
started playing out, you didn't play as your name. You're like me. You have a fancy stage name. How did you pick June Gloom, and why did you want to not be your name?
Yeah, so I used to go out as Jacqui Giovanna because Giovanna is my
Oh,
middle name.
okay.
Um, but it just felt like I needed to change my name because I spell my first name very unique. Like I
Uh
spell it
huh.
Jacqui. Anyone who hears Jackie, they're not gonna think, "Oh, that's how
Right.
you spell it."
Uh
So I was
huh.
just like, I'm setting myself up for failure. Like if I were to
Yeah.
verbally tell someone, like, "Look me up," and then on top of it, my middle name is Italian.
Uh
And
huh.
I know a lot of people probably don't know how to spell that either. So I was like, no,
Right.
no, no, I need to simplify my name. And so I'm a really big playlister. I make playlists on Spotify like all day, every day.
Okay.
And usually I'll make like a monthly one of just like all the music that I find and like that month. So I think like probably back in 2017, which is when I decided to change my name. In June, I had made a playlist called Joon Gloom, and I spelled it all weird. And then I thought, wait a second, JG, Jacqui Gaball,
Oh, yeah. Right.
my
Yeah.
Joon Gloom. So that
Okay.
was already one reason. Second of all, I really liked the term Joon Gloom because, like, and I know that that's like a California thing, and I'm from
Yeah.
California. So, and then also, like, I always felt like almost a little self conscious that most of the music I wrote was when I was sad. So, like, my music is very emo, and I just felt like sometimes it wasn't like playable at like bars and stuff because I'm like, I'm just gonna be a downer, like I'm just gonna like nobody's gonna want to listen to this, like.
Right.
So but I was like, but that really encapsulates like what my sound is like. I'm gloomy, like my music is gloomy. And I think that over time I've kind of gotten out of that like super depressing sound, like especially because I started adding like production and a band, and I didn't want to write like only songs that brought people down. So over time that's kind of changed. So a lot of people are like, why are you June Gloom? Like you're not gloomy. Like, what the heck? Like, I don't get it. And I'm just like, well, if you listen to most of the lyrics of my songs, like, they are not like sunshine and rainbows. Like, they are sad.
Right. Yeah. That segues us into the other song, Nightmares. That was just a single, yeah. Oh, whoops! There it went. It's playing right now.
There it is. It just fucking hit you.
All right, and you put out a video for that too. That you directed that video, yeah?
Yeah, so I had kind of a vision that I wanted to just do like just one steady, like walking. And I wanted to do like something more Halloween themed because the song was called Nightmares.
Yeah,
And I
Nightmares,
was
right?
releasing it around Halloween. So then I thought, oh my God, if I'm just like walking down the street singing this and I have someone behind me that I don't even realize until like the biggest part of the song, I just thought that would be epic. I've been having nightmares since you
you did. I wish that I could show you things that you miss. 'Cause you don't wanna know me. I mean nothing to you. You're looking toward your past life, so I can't be your future. I've been having nightmares since you said you no longer wanted me in your bed.
One thing I have to note, the recording process for that song was so intense. So it was Kevin Kim, my bassist. He engineered that song for me. And basically it was during COVID. So it was like I call that song my COVID baby. It's probably my favorite recording I have yet.
Okay.
Because Kevin and Michael and I, we not only did we do some in-person sessions, we then went ahead and did Zoom sessions, literally like piecing everything together. And Michael was doing a bunch of like soloing, and then we'd be like, ooh, I really like that part. We're keeping that snippet and we're putting that in there. So even some of the soloing is not like a one take. We're like
Yeah.
putting in like the best of the best of the best. in
Oh
there.
yeah. Every lead on my record, same. I'm like, that's play it through, and we'll go, oh, that sounded awful. Let's replace that. Yeah, it's like piece it together.
Yeah.
And then when you go to play it live, it's always tricky. Like, oh, now I have to play this solo that I couldn't play at home.
Well, luckily Michael is like the
Yeah.
best, so
Yeah,
he
he's
just
really good.
memorized like. Luckily, when you have that in a recording, like you can listen to it and then memorize like the new.
Yeah.
And I know I've listened to it so many times because I love that guitar solo
Yeah.
so much. That's like the best part of the song, in my opinion. But that took us 2 years,
Oh, wow.
whole years
Yeah.
of doing that. So that's why I believe that it came out better than any of my other songs, because the other ones were more so like a normal process where you go in the studio for like a couple days and you're like laying down the tracks and then everything comes out at the same time. But this was
Yeah.
like we were just working on one dang song
Right.
over 2 years.
Yeah. No, I feel ya.
We were perfectionists with it.
The CD that I just released is my 5th one total. So I've done 2 as a solo artist. I had 2 as my first band, Page Agreement. And then my 3rd one was with a band called Peel. And we named it Beautiful Baby Elephant for that similar reason. We worked on it so long. It was like, we felt like it was gestating this giant, animal. It just took forever.
Yeah.
I feel ya.
That's beautiful.
A beautiful baby elephant.
Yeah.
Who are you listening to these days? Who's on your turntable?
I jump from like decade to genre. Like I've always listened to everything. So I take inspiration from so many different things. But lately, like oh my God, I'm obsessing over like Journey, Send Her My Love. I love that.
Oh,
I just discovered Bruce Hornsby.
I don't think I know that song. Okay, yeah.
Send her my love. You never heard that one?
Probably now that you say it, yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Nice.
The verses are even better. I'm like, I love because I feel like we all focus so much on having like a catchy chorus.
Yeah.
Sometimes the verses just aren't as good, but I'm such a verse person. Like, I don't care if the chorus isn't that good as long as like the verses carry me through,
Yeah, there you go. Do you know who Dan Wilson is? Do you know that name? So Dan Wilson became known as the singer-songwriter for Semisonic, who Closing Time, right? That's their big hit.
Okay.
But now he's a songwriter, just kind of in the industry. He's written songs with Adele, her big hit. I can't remember the name of the song at the moment. He's written with the Dixie Chicks. He's written with Chris Stapleton. He's written with the list of people he's written with is endless.
Wow.
But he has a thing I've heard him say several times, speaking about your verse chorus thing, where he goes, all right, you've written your chorus and it's hooky and it's great and fantastic. Now what you do is you slide that, and now that's your verse. And now go write a new chorus. Because like you said, people are focusing on the chorus to be the hooky part that people want to sing along with. And now you have that. And now have your verse be the hooky, interesting, catchy part. And then write another chorus that's going to be even more catchy, hooky than that. So I've never actually done that because I tend to kind of get stuck. Like, this is my chorus and I like it. And that's how it came out. And, you have to kind of fight through that and work continue to work through, to build. But one of these days, I'm actually going to
Yeah.
try that and see what that does.
That's really interesting. I like thinking about that concept. But I've always just written in a way that was like flowing out. So anytime there's like advice on like structure and stuff, I'm like, how do I do that? Like I'm just like it's such a like creative process to me. And
Yeah.
I feel like if I was doing if my career was like a commercial songwriter or something, then that would be so helpful. Like if you're like constantly writing music, I feel
Yeah.
like having more of a structure way to do things because you're kind of forced to sit down and write, that
Yeah.
would be so helpful.
You mean
That
structure, like not necessarily song structure, but like just kind of like a process that you do kind of every day kind of
yeah,
thing?
like
Or
a guideline,
gotcha.
like
Okay.
guideline advice, and like to me that sounded more like structure because he's like write a chorus, move
Yeah.
on, and now write another chorus, move on. You know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that's just
Sure.
like flowing out.
You ever heard of this
Um,
book called The Artist's Way?
no, I don't think so.
So I'm gonna. I don't remember her name. Julia. I want to say Julia Carmichael, but I don't know if that's right. Anyway, it's a book called The Artist's Way. I'll put it in the show notes. But um, you were mentioning, a lot of times you kind of go through spaces where you're not writing a lot, or you run into writer's block. She's written this book 20, 25 years ago or something. And anyway, it's called The Artist's Way. And she kind of walks you through a process of kind of how to really build that creative muscle kind of in a way, or kind of just shake the writer's block loose. But a lot of it, I can, give her, I could leave a lot of it. A lot of it doesn't connect with me. The one thing that she does that I love is called morning pages. And basically what it is the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up before anything else has happened and, the day has taken you any place, you just sit down, pen, paper, and you write 3 pages just of whatever, stream of consciousness. It can be whatever it's going to be. It doesn't have to be a cohesive story. It doesn't have to be about anything. It could be like, I really slept like crap last night. My shoulder hurts. I said this thing to my friend yesterday that I hate. I heard this song, and will I write a good song again? I'm super happy. It can be whatever. It could be a memory from 20 years ago. Like, it's whatever it is. It's just to kind of get whatever is on your mind and your subconscious just out into the world. And it kind of, for me at least, it has this effect of just like kind of clearing my head and also focusing what I really want to write about. So again, I'm kind of out of the habit of doing that, but that's a really cool thing that I found that really kind of stokes my creative fire and kind of really just focuses me to like let me know like what do you really want to talk about lately. So
yeah, that makes sense because they always say like journaling is so good for you. So, and I always felt like songwriting was my journaling kind of thing. But I mean, if I'm not able to like be spewing songs out, then yeah, maybe journaling is something I should be going into for sure. I've had
it's worth
phases
checking
where I
out.
was
Yeah.
okay.
And then you mentioned when we were talking before the interview, there's a song that you're about to record that's alive on. You did some live sessions. Where is that? Is that Daniel's place, or where'd you record those?
Yeah, so I really wanted to do like a live series with my band. And then we also wanted to do that for our band's sake so that because we don't practice super often, we wanted to also have these recordings for like everyone to be able to listen to be able to just jump right back in for a gig.
Sure.
So it was like a win-win. So yes, that was at Daniel's place. He has a cute recording studio like in his house.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the In Between is one of the first ones I released. I still have like probably a good like 6 of them to release. We recorded I think like 8 or 9 songs that day.
Okay.
It was a long day and I was like recovering from strep throat too. I don't know how I did that. But anyways, so the In Between was the first one I released, and that we're all going to get together in July and record the studio version of that. But that's one of my newest songs that I feel like has resonated with a lot of people. Like it feels like kind of Wildfire, like the next like 2.0, just because
Sure.
I feel like with Wildfire, I was getting really positive feedback right away. And the in between, I immediately started getting good feedback too.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same kind of thing where I was able to write like a pretty well structured like pop song, if you will,
Yeah.
that like
Right.
people understand and it's just
For
like
sure.
easy for them to listen to.
Yeah. What's the first line in that song?
You were the one I always wanted. Oh wait,
No,
sorry, I'm
that's
thinking Wildfire.
that's Wildfire.
Oh my god! Wait, let me go to
I'm
my
like,
lyrics because I'm
I know
literally
it's tough to
blanking right
access
now.
that when you're not like in the moment. Like,
I
you
know.
know,
I'm like, this feels embarrassing, but I'm literally like,
no,
what
it's
are my
totally, it's a
lyrics?
total different part of your brain. I forget my lyrics all the time. Absolutely. Like it's
Especially because I
fascinating.
haven't been playing lately. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I
Right.
don't know my own music. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I start with I'm in a hotel lobby waiting to come home.
I'm big on opening lines. I think they're super cool. That's a good way to get it to get into a song, and when you set the scene like that, like it's a nice way to get that open. That are you going to do the same kind of production when you take it to the studio as you've done in the live sessions for that song? Because that one's uh, it's definitely your stuff, but it feels a little more rootsy, kind of Americana-y almost, which I love. I love that. I'm
Yeah,
just curious if you're going to keep that, or you're going to like do a little more slicker production, or how are you going to do
yeah.
that song?
Production is so tough because I feel like you could take songs so many different directions.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm very thankful to have a group of guys that have very like strong, passionate visions for my music, because I'm kind of like the first step and then I like show them songs and they're like, "Oh, I already know what to do on my part." Like I already know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that we are going to keep it somewhat similar to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're in production mode, we kind of like think of things and we come up with new things. I think they were talking about maybe wanting to do some like steel guitar in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's probably gonna be like, I know people have been saying it sounds a bit more country. And I've also had
I
people telling me
yeah.
I could be a country artist, and
Yeah.
like my uncle's saying like you need to make some country music.
I
I
mean,
think it's gonna be more
that's all
Americana
production though,
though.
like you're mentioning. Like genre to me is just production. Like if
It is.
if you write a good song, it doesn't matter how you produce it. You could turn it into a pop song or a country song or Americana song or indie rock, whatever it is. That's all in the production. The actual meat of the message of the lyric and the melody. That's what I focus on, at least. Like, and I mean,
Exactly.
definitely have a certain style that I typically always produce, but it doesn't mean it can't be shaped differently. But I wouldn't call
Exactly.
that song country. It's definitely or at least the version that I heard.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's a bit more like bluesy, like you said, Americana, maybe a little bit of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
folky.
Say that we're too different. You're just not cut out for it. Wish that you could see what I see. But we're in the in-between. Half of you, half of me. You've got one foot in and one foot out the door. We're in the in-between. But you really have all of me. Secretly, you know I'm wanting so much more. But we're in the in-between.
But I do really struggle with like knowing what I want my sound to be.
Yeah.
I think that what's most fitting for me is something in that realm, like almost like maybe like Sheryl Crow kind of sounding
Sure.
music. Like growing up, I was really inspired by all those female singer-songwriters like Jewel, like Vanessa Carlton, Michelle Branch, like all those kind of people. I feel like that's probably my genre.
Yeah.
But at the
Paula
same
Cole, are
time,
you into her at all? You know that person?
Paula Cole? No, never
Yeah.
heard of her.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, I'll have to look her up.
Yeah, you have to check her out.
Um,
I think you would that might be in your wheelhouse.
okay. But then
Actually,
I also have.
you probably know one of her songs. Did you ever watch what the hell's that? I think Dawson's Creek, the theme song from Dawson's Creek.
Oh,
That's
I
Paula
don't
Cole.
want to wait.
That's Paula Cole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She fits that for
Yeah.
sure. But I also have a really deep love for 80s music and like
All right.
synthy
Uh-huh.
music is my favorite. So it's
Interesting.
hard for me to like I would love to make like a total like synth wave pop
Yeah.
album.
Uh-huh.
And so it's almost like I
You
could
don't
do
have a ton of
like
synthy stuff that I've heard, I don't think, though. Do you?
no, because I
Yeah.
think one of the
That's
things
just the
is
next
like I
chapter.
write, yeah, I write on acoustic guitar. So
Mm-hmm.
it just
Yeah.
like automatically starts sounding like singer-songwriter, and then we end up
Yeah.
producing it that way. And
Right.
it's like, I feel like if I was more of like an at-home producer, I could just start writing songs like immediately on like my MIDI synth or something,
Yeah.
and then it would
Right.
immediately become a pop song. But it's like I feel like it just naturally always goes to that. And I also think that because I have more of a voice probably for like bluesy,
Yeah.
soul, Americana songwriter, it also doesn't go that direction.
Yeah, you've
But
you've got a little smoke, a little gravel in your voice, just a little hint. So yeah, you definitely have that going for you. Yeah.
I feel like Taylor Swift is a good example of someone though who changed it up over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely respect her for that, like going from country to pop.
Yeah.
Because it didn't make everyone happy, but look at her now; she's doing great.
I mean,
So
country and pop, like if we're talking about like I want to say radio, but that's not really relevant so much anymore. But there's such a very thin line between pop music and country. Excuse me, country these days.
yeah, it's like
Are
pop
are you a
country.
Swiftie?
I wouldn't say I'm like a Swiftie per se, but there's definitely like she has a bunch of songs that I like.
Yeah.
But I would say when she first came out as an artist, when she was like super young and she was in country, I was a fan, and then kind of as she changed, I started being like, okay, what is
Yeah.
this? I started getting a little annoyed, and then now over time, I've kind of like come to like her again, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of songs that I like, and I definitely respect her as a songwriter because she actually writes music. She's not
Right.
just one of those artists that just like gets music thrown at her. You know, she writes.
Right. I mean, she's
Um,
bringing in some heavy hitters to help her out, but
yeah, oh yeah, she has a lot of
yeah,
help.
she's definitely doing the work as well.
And that's something that really fascinates me about like artists, like famous artists nowadays. You go to look who wrote the song, and there's like five writers,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what? How is
Yeah.
that possible? I've never co-written. I don't really know how to do that. So
Yeah. I haven't done much co-writing either, but the saying is, or the whatever, it's if you were in the room when the song was getting written, you're getting a credit. So the guy bringing a coffee in, like, put
gosh,
me on the list. I don't know. That's probably not
gosh,
true, but yeah, there's just there's so much that goes into writing those simple pop songs that turn into big hits. It's everybody thinks they can do it, right? Because they sound so simple, but it's not as simple as it seems, for sure.
yeah. And I think the producers get a lot of credit for that too, because
Yeah.
some songs would not be as good without the production that they have, especially if the
Oh,
lyrics aren't good. There are a lot of songs that just like the instruments and the music are kind of clouding the. It doesn't really matter what they're saying
hmm,
because the music is so good.
yeah,
Um, that if they didn't have that, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a
yeah,
hit.
yeah. I mean, that's the kind of the age old question too. Like, what's more important, the music or the lyric? And there's so many people that don't listen to the lyric, right? Like, it gets
Yeah,
lost on so many people. It's more about what kind of mood, what kind of vibe do I get
yeah.
when I'm listening to this song.
Well, I
So
always say that if you have one or the other, it's a good song. If you have both, it's a great song.
yeah, oh yeah,
There's this like kind of up and coming singer songwriter, Holly Humberstone. I really like her, obsessed with her album. I think she might have been the one that was inspiring me to write, was Holly
okay,
Humberstone.
nice,
Her newest album is like the kind of music I would love to make. So she's kind of more in the pop realm. But she has like rock elements. So I would call her like indie pop.
yeah,
Um, and then more recently, I saw Maggie Rogers in concert. She
okay,
just
yeah,
released a new album, and I hadn't heard any of it yet. So it's kind of cool to just like hear it live first.
yeah,
Most of the songs she played, I would say, were from the new album, and it blew me away. That concert, like, I was like tearing up, like I was feeling
Oh,
so inspired by her. And it just made me feel like, oh my God, like I do really want to do this. Like her performance was a dream. And I was just like, wow, I would really love to do this. And my mom was like saying, like, you could do this. Like, you're just as good as everyone else. Like, and
you
I was
gotta
like,
love
oh.
moms. I love that. Yeah.
But I was just like, it was making me feel really inspired. And it's, it's tough to then come home and be like, well, I still have writer's block. I still have
Yeah.
this life, like very far away from playing venues like that. And I struggle with vocal nodes. So I feel like I'm often very discouraged when it comes to singing and performing. And I recently haven't been really performing much at all because often it feels like I have to choose between like a social life or singing,
Yeah.
and that's tough because I'm a social person. I like to go out. I like to have fun, and sometimes it feels like I can't do that if I want to play gigs. So it's rough having like a sensitive system that
Yeah.
doesn't really allow me to do both.
Yeah. So I know you and I have talked a little bit about your vocal nodes in the past. Like how is that? I know you've been to some medical professionals to kind of help you through that. Is there any kind of wide advice you can share with anyone to kind of avoid that or help? If I know a lot of people kind of run into that. Is there advice that
Yeah.
you would give someone to kind of help?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, I used to think that it was like something I was doing wrong. I went to many doctors, and I even went to a gastro doctor because there is something to be said about if you have acid reflux, it can affect your vocal cords. But with that to the side, I would say the main thing of advice is rest. Like if you have to sing, um, you want to try to rest your voice as much as you can before you sing and after for recovery. And another thing is warming your voice up properly. The vocal therapist I went to recently, he has me doing something on a daily basis, which is just like vibrating the vocal cords. So like you could choose like a V sound, a Z sound. Those are like the two that I remember. But so you take a deep breath in, you'd make an F, and it would turn into a V. So it'd be, and that kind of like makes your vocal cords like vibrate in a healthy way.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would just say rest as much as you can, but I know that can be hard in like the music industry because you're always in loud places. Like I
Yeah.
love to go to live music outside of performing, and then when you're in a loud environment, if you're with people, you end up yelling. That's why I actually
Right.
like going to concerts by myself. Like I used to when I was
Yeah.
younger in my early 20s. I had a phase where I would go to LA to see a concert at least once a week, sometimes twice. Um, Almost always by myself. And it was so nice because I could just listen to the music. I wasn't screaming all night, and I would leave with my voice. You know what I mean?
Nice.
It was nice.
Well, hey, it's been great talking to you. I know you have to be somewhere, so I won't
Yeah.
keep you. I feel like we could talk for another 2 hours.
Yeah, we could.
It's been great having you on. Thanks for spending some time chatting nerdy song content with me.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Thanks for listening to Willsbach's Song Pod. If you've made it this far, please rate, review, like, love, add, subscribe, do all the things on whatever app it is that you're hearing my voice. That lets the almighty algorithm know that interesting people like you like this show and will serve it up to other cool and interesting people. Willsbach's Song Pod is produced by Willsbach Entertainment, LLC. Mixed, mastered, and edited by me, Tim Willsbach. See you next time.